Hello and welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles. Today I am doing a book review of The Battle Drum. This is the second book in the Ending Fire trilogy by Sara El Arifi. It comes out on May 23rd, so hopefully this goes up on release day. The first book in the series was The Final Strife. I do have a full review of that as well, so I will have that linked in the cards and in the description for you. In that first book, we are following three characters, Sila, Anor, and Hassa. All of them live in this empire where there is a caste system based on the color of your blood. So one of them is an ember, meaning they are part of the ruling class in the empire. One is a duster, meaning they have blue blood and they sort of live in the more impoverished sections of the empire. And then the last is a ghosting, meaning they have clear blood, and in this empire they are sort of the servants. I really enjoyed The Final Strife. I ended up rating it 4.5 stars. I was genuinely surprised by how much I liked it, and immediately after finishing it I requested an arc of book 2 and I got accepted for it. So I do have this pre-ordered. Hopefully it'll get here tonight, but I was really excited to read book 2 and it was just as good. I rated it 4.25 stars and it picks up 6 months after the events of the end of The Final Strife. We do get introduced to a few new characters and the world does open up quite a bit. I did enjoy this and I enjoy being surprised. However, I also now want the author to square up because she knows what she did, and if you read the book you also know what she did, and I just feel like we have to fight it out, you know? I can't say too much more without spoiling, but I would recommend this to anyone who enjoys adult fantasy, blood magic, and this world is very LGBT positive. There are trans characters where reaffirming surgeries or medicines are easily accessible and they're not questioned. There is some sapphic romance in here as well, and overall I think that she did a really great job with the world building and the world that she created here. So if that intrigues you at all, I definitely recommend, but if you have not yet read The Battle Drum but would like to, this is your official spoiler warning. Starting off with the characters, as always, we have our three main characters from book 1, Sila, Anor, and Hassa, as well as two new perspectives from John and Nayeli, who is a brand new character that we get in this book. I like Sila a lot more this time around. In the beginning of the last book, she was just kind of annoying because she was just high as a kite the entire time and doing really stupid shit. Anor, I was so proud of her at the end of the first book because she was coming into her own, she was more confident, she was standing up for herself, and then in this book she kind of reverts back to the person she was, and it's incredibly fucking disappointing. Hassa is a delight as per usual. I love her, she's still my favorite character. I really hate John. So the fact that we got his perspective was kind of annoying for me. Like, I didn't really care about him, so that kind of sucked. And then Nayeli was very interesting. Her perspective is in a different timeline as well, so that kind of threw me off at first, trying to figure out who she was. And then I thought I figured it out, and I kind of had, but not really. There was a missing piece there. So that was just a fun little ride, but it was definitely interesting. So those are the perspectives that we have, but other characters that either are new or reoccurring are Gorn. I like her. I didn't have any issues with her. Kwame comes back. I really like him. We will talk about him a little later. We do get a new character, Zuhari, who Gorn hires to be one of Anor's council. So now that Anor's disciple, she has a council that includes Gorn, Kwame, and Zuhari. Zuhari is an ember, but she is married to a duster, so she does know the truth about Anor. We also still have Uka and Yona. Uka is Anor's adoptive mother, and Yona is Uka's mother. And then we have Leo, who is Anor's biological mother and Sila's adoptive mother. Yeah. So after I finished reading book 1, I had 3 main questions for the next one. First was, will we find out where Lou is from since he has yellow blood? Big shock for me, honestly. But we did learn more about where he was from, and that ended up being very surprising. I mean, I knew he was from somewhere else, but his connection to other people, I was not expecting at all. I also wondered if Anor and Leo would ever meet, since Leo is her biological mother, and they do, so that was kind of cool. I think there's a little bit of detachment there though, because of Anor being upset that Leo was willing to give her up and willing to let her be killed, because that's essentially what happened to all of the other Duster children. I also wondered if there would be a time jump and if we would fast forward to Anor further in her tenure as a disciple or whatever, but just the 6 months and then wondering how Anor was going to come into power, that got answered very quickly. So yeah, it was an interesting ride. I really enjoyed this book, and I really honestly am looking forward to the next one. So now I'm gonna run through some of the plot points that stood out to me. I might be missing some things. I'll try not to miss any big things, but again, this book has a lot of detail in it, so I'll do what I can. Starting off with the fact that there are 8 blood colors. I knew that there would be more. I wasn't sure that there would be 8. And so basically it's like the colors of the rainbow plus clear, and I really like that. I think it's really interesting. And I did a video talking about books that I would like to see as adaptations, and I think this one would be a really good one because of the different blood colors. But yeah, I really just like the concept that she's created here. I find it really interesting. Then we finally see the ghosting settlement outside of the Warden's empire, and I thought that was really cool too. And it's nice that they've been able to save a lot of children, so they have children growing up on this settlement who still have their tongues and their hands because they took them away when their mothers were still pregnant or when they were still babies. Also at the settlement there is no tide wind, which I found really interesting, and that ended up connecting to the fact that it's not just the empire that's going through something. Different regions of the world are experiencing different natural disasters, I guess I could say. And I thought that was really interesting too, because they think it might be connected to blood work, but they need blood work for the impending war. So I don't know how that's gonna work out. Another thing that I thought was interesting was the tannin. So in the map in book 1, you can see it sort of in the water, and you're just like, oh cool, like a little sea creature, and there are myths about it or whatever. But then Sila and John end up seeing it, and in order to pass it you need a sacrifice. So for every person that's passing you need a sacrifice, and I thought that was interesting. Sila at the end does try to destroy it but fails, so I wonder how that's going to work. I'm not gonna lie, the end of this book left me with a lot of questions, so we'll have to see how all of this shakes out in the end. It's also created by basically the Zalam, which broke away from the original settlement with 8 colors and went to the empire and colonized it. But with the bomb thingies that Sila had created, I thought she was gonna make it, but yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do about that. Like I said, I'll have a lot of questions, but we'll get to those in a minute. One of the things that shocked me the most was, and maybe it shouldn't have, but Uka's murder. So Uka gets murdered, Anor gets framed for it. They're trying to figure out who really did it, and I personally didn't figure it out. I did not crack the case. But what pissed me off about that whole situation was Anor accused literally everyone close to her. She accused Zuhari, then she accused Hassa, then she accused Gorn, and while I understand that she was grieving, her taking her frustration, her feelings out on her friends really pissed me off, because you already have such a limited amount of people that you can trust, and you're literally willing to turn your back on them for what? Especially with Gorn. Gorn has been like a mother to her this entire time. She created the Inquisitor Abina series for her to give her something to look forward to, and her snapping at Gorn like that, and I don't think their relationship is ever going to go back to what it was. What I liked about those scenes though was that Hassa was consistently putting her in her place, and she fucking deserved it. Honestly, like Anor is probably my second least favorite character after John at this point, and it's really disappointing because she was doing so well. But I think she will get a little bit more character development in book 3. While I typically do not enjoy fantasy with romance subplots, I really enjoyed the relationship between Kwame and Hassa. I just think they're so cute together, and she really broke my heart. In my review of the Final Strife, I said that I wanted to see so much more of Kwame, and we did for a while, but she ruined it. He didn't do anything. He didn't deserve this. Like, why couldn't John die or something? So outside of the Empire, we learned that there is a queen in a place called Tenio, and a disaster strikes them. I think, was it like a tsunami or something? But they believe that the queen is dead, and I'm not quite sure how that's going to play into the larger part of the story, because I don't really feel like we got much information about Tenio, and so I don't know. I'm not sure of the significance of that right now, but I definitely am interested to see how that gets worked into the larger story. Something that I didn't expect was that Leo was going to die. They sent her to try to get into one of the Tidewind shelters that was partially a service that Anor was trying to establish, but also Yona picked it up like really quickly and got on it a little too fast for my liking, and it made me super fucking suspicious. So Hassa learns that they are harvesting bone marrow from people. I'm not sure if I quite grasped onto the significance of that while I was reading because there was just so much happening, but Leo ends up dying and Scylla doesn't know yet, so I wonder how that's gonna affect her. And then we find out that it was Zuhari who killed Uka because basically Uka was responsible for her daughter's death. Yeah, it took me a while to piece that together, not gonna lie. The whole situation with Nayeli has a brother. We're told that, and his name is Anansi, and we find out that Lute's first name is Anansi as well. So at first I was trying to like piece that together. I was like, how is that him if he died and all this other stuff, right? And the fact that Nayeli was able to infiltrate the Empire and go undetected for so long is really fucking impressive. So her brother did actually die, and Lute, or the Anansi that we know, is actually her son, which I was not expecting. Nayeli has yellow blood like Lute. She was married, or I guess, to an emperor. So she had twins, Uka and Lute, but Uka has red blood and Lute has yellow, and so she was gonna give him up. She literally was gonna leave him outside for the Tidewind, and she became disciple and then trained Uka to become a disciple, and that was like a big, like, I had such a hard time wrapping my brain around that because, like, you never would have known. But also it's funny because she does encounter Lute and he breaks into her home and steals the stool or whatever, and the whole time he has no idea who she is, but she knew who he was. I was just really shocked by that, and like I said in my review of Final Strife, like, no one's really attached to their children here, so there's that. I didn't really love the whole storyline with Nayeli and how basically she was told that her brother died because she wasn't following their God's plan and that she didn't want to have children, and so she was being punished and all this shit, and then she basically becomes a religious fanatic. So that was interesting, but also like kind of creepy, and wasn't my favorite part, honestly. So those were like major plot points that I wrote down. I'm trying to make this video shorter than one of the Final Strife. We'll see how that goes though. But now I'm gonna go to my dislikes and likes and possible predictions for book 3, I guess. So overall, I did feel like this book was a little bit slower, but not enough that it was like middle book syndrome or like I was super disappointed in it. We were bouncing back and forth between different places, and then it did do the one thing that I do hate in middle books that are fantasy, where it spends a lot of time with people like traveling, and I kind of feel like John's perspective was thrown in there for not a good reason. I don't really feel like it was necessary. At the time, Scylla was incapacitated, and I feel like it was just an excuse to throw in John's perspective, but I hate John, so those chapters were kind of a struggle for me, not gonna lie. That is also another one of my dislikes. I don't like John, so getting his perspectives was not fun for me, and I feel like it was meant to sort of give us a little bit more insight into his head and prove to us that he does care about Scylla, but I don't care. Again, Honor, her behavior this time around, not a fan, because she basically just lost all the progress that she made. I do think that will change in the next book though. Kwame's death is, this is the reason that I want to fight the author. Because why? And then Honor and Hassa had to watch it happen. I just want Hassa to be happy. Like, why did we have to take that from her? I just want to talk to you. I just have some questions. I just need some clarity. Because why? I was also really annoyed at one point that Sally tried to fuck John, and sure, loneliness, whatever. You're in a relationship, ma'am. And this is supposed to be someone that you hate. And I understand that y'all do have a bond because y'all grew up together and whatever. But like, can we not? Like, really? Really? That's what you want to do right now? Great idea. And then there were 3 characters that I just didn't really like. Number 1, Ads. She's annoying as fuck. She is a member of the ghosting settlement, but she was taken there as a baby so she can talk, and that's all she fucking does is talk. Ravenwing, one of the elders, the ghosting elders, I just feel like they were just always upset and just combative all the time. And then oh, right, so we get to this other place and there's like this council. Oh, the academy. There we go. Zelina Academy. But the bitch who can teleport, I don't like her. I don't trust her. I don't remember her name. But yeah, can't stand her. As for things that I did like though, I really liked the opening up of the world and learning more about the different blood colors and how they operate outside of the Empire. I'm really interested to see where this is gonna go with the impending war. I'm still curious also about what the title of the next book is going to be. I can't wait until we get more information about that. I'm really interested to see what role Hassa is gonna play in the end too. And then as far as questions and predictions that I have for book 3, so I was talking to Deshauna about this, and she thinks that Hassa is gonna be on the next cover, which I think would be really great. And then I said I wonder if it would be like a white cover since she's a ghosting. I'm really interested to see how that goes. So where we ended, Nayeli has revealed that she is Yona. We've been getting her past timeline this whole time, and she believes that Anor is the child of fire, the one who is supposed to start this war that is coming. She is also the real head of the sandstorm, and she has sort of been doing this to look for the child of fire. And so the other disciples are all a part of the sandstorm, and so she takes them and Anor, and they're going back to the land where she grew up. And at the same time, Scylla is coming back to the Empire because she found out that Anor might be in danger. So I wonder how that's going to affect the Empire when one of the wardens and all of their disciples are gone. Because they're going back across the ocean, they're gonna have to cross the Tannin again. So I wonder if Nayeli is just planning to sacrifice the other 3 disciples, or if she has some other plan for that. So the last chapter literally ends with Hassa saying Scylla's name because Scylla's just entered the tunnels under the Empire. So now that Scylla's back, she doesn't know that Anor is gone. She doesn't know that Leo is dead, and she doesn't know that Kwame is dead. So that's going to be a lot of information for her to take in at once. I also wonder if Hassa is going to go to the ghosting settlement. I don't think she's gone so far because she's been helping get people out of the city. So I don't know if she'll stay or if she's finally gonna go. Again, I'm just interested to see what role she's gonna play in this overall. Still curious about Tenio and the role that that plays. I believe they're supposed to be allies with the Academy, but still haven't quite connected the dots there. And then the impending battle. I'm really interested to see how that's supposed to go because it's something that they've been preparing for so long, but the Empire is so unaware of it. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know how this is gonna work. I don't know how they're gonna resolve the Tidewind and all the other phenomena that are happening, but I'm really excited to continue this series. I cannot wait to see how she wraps this all up. I'm really looking forward to learning more. We still need a title, a cover, a release date, all the things. It probably won't come out until 2024 at some point, hopefully. A lot of things are getting pushed back right now, so hopefully 2024 at least. I might have to reread both of these before that comes out because that's going to be a long time to try to remember any of that information. Highly recommend the audiobooks though, they are very good. But those are all of my thoughts on the Battle Drum. Let me know if you have read this or if it's on your TBR. Otherwise, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you in the next video.